70% with a high at 91. With news on 103.9 WYAB, I'm Chris Davis. Jackson Mayor John Horn announcing an extension for the people in Blossom Apartments this weekend.
The operation and turning back on of water for 5 days in order to give the residents an opportunity to get their affairs in order so they can be relocated.
At a news conference in the parking lot, he also announced that Stewpot would be helping come up with money for people to be able to relocate. Back on Friday, August 1st, Sean Crenshaw was shot and killed at a Shell station on Robinson Street in Jackson. Now, JPD says they believe they've arrested the killer, a man named Corey McLaughlin. McLaughlin was interviewed by detectives Friday, and after that, they decided to charge him with murder. You may remember that during recent shootouts in Jackson, the crooks shot at each other and also ended up shooting a bunch of houses. Several houses ended up with bullets in them between bedtime Saturday and Sunday morning. JPD detectives, they want to know how that happened and who is responsible. That was Dorgan Street and Belvedere Drive. A man and a woman both murdered Saturday. From police were connected to each other. A man was found dead at a Circle K on Highway 7. All SP was seen by play. That was safe. Long after that, a woman was found dead from several gunshots in the backseat of a car on West Boundary Street. Police victims and also have not found arrests. More news in 139 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
Opinions expressed are the individual views expressing that most of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
Yes, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. It is Monday, the 11th of August, 2025. Happy Monday, everybody. I know we're all happy to be here, locked, loaded, ready for launch. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on that social media platform that begins with a F, but we don't like saying the name because they like censorship. And we are also always streaming at WYAB.com, the mothership. If you want to be part of the program today, the number is going to be 601-879-0002. Never change. The text line is open. It wasn't as heavy as a text weekend as it normally is, but I think it was just such a nice weekend. It wasn't as hot as it normally was. Nice weather. People were out enjoying time with their friends and family. Hey, that's the way we got to go. But if you want to be part of the text line, 601-879-5060. As usual, our mission is standard. We're here to equip the saints. And I just have to say, I woke up this morning and I thought I heard the dogs barking, going nuts last night. And they were. I woke up this morning to some rank amateurs. I'm hoping you're all listening, Clinton Christian Academy. You all are a bunch of rank amateurs when it comes to rolling somebody's yard. You guys used the good stuff, man. You had the quilted northern out all over the place. Who rolls with quilted northern, man? Got to get the Scotties. Got to get the sandpaper out. Who does that? In all seriousness, we woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, as our day normally starts, to take care of the sheep, the chickens, and the dogs. And we were woken up to a pleasant surprise. It's actually cool when you get rolled. That just means that they love you. So our daughter's classmates love her, and she's got something going on there. They did a rank amateur job as far as the choice of toilet paper. I have to say that the front trees in our yard, That's about an 8 out of 10. Nah, 7 out of 10. The fence lines, that was standard 5. The cars were 6, and it wasn't too bad. The roof wasn't too bad. It was just it was kind of nice because a lot of us, we went out in the day, whether you called it rolling or TPing or whatever it was that you wanted to call it. It's kind of like a rite of passage going into high school and going up through the levels there. So that's what we woke up to this morning. It was a fun day, first day of school. Always great to get the kids back out there doing what they need to do. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but it was God who gave the increase. And today we've got all sorts of stuff to talk about. First of all, for the last 4 weeks, I've actually had to use my backup thumb drive. And you're like, Andy, what does this have to do with anything? I lost my primary thumb drive for radio. So all of my scrolls, all of my music and stuff like that I wanted to bring and import was on that thumb drive, and it just disappeared. And this morning, it just magically appeared. It was great. It wasn't there last night. It wasn't next to my wallet, but there it was. And life is always good. I got to give a quick shout out to my man, Curtis Shaw Sports News. Congratulations on 100K, brother. You got to keep up in the arsenal, man, every chance. And just a little bit odds and ends. This first segment's going to be a little bit different in that I'm always grateful and thankful when I can sit in and either participate with Clay or watch Clay work. Man, and to be able to, he sends me a text last night at 11:56. I'm already down for the count. Say, hey, can you come do the third hour tomorrow? And I read that this morning, so I'm thinking tomorrow, Tuesday, but he meant today. So I got to do 2 segments with him today. Always enjoy being on the radio with that man. Makes you think. I'm definitely pro-choice. As many of you know on this program, I am pro-choice. I do like parents having the ability to choose where they're going to send their kids to school. But I really do think that Clay Edwards has a very valid point about just kids helicoptering into a really good school district and bringing in that culture with it. Whether you want to call it ghetto culture, black culture, culture rot, take your pick. It really doesn't matter. It kind of symbolizes a bigger problem we have with people coming into the United States, not wanting to be an American, but wanting to continue to be, whether they're coming from Mexico, Honduras, wherever. It's not a race thing. It's not a color thing. It's not a hate thing. It's just what it is. And if you're coming into Rankin County to go to schools in Rankin County, you should want to be acting like you're from Rankin County and have some pride in that. And Jackson, there's big problems there. I mean, I was listening to the news and they're talking about how they're going to have water on for 5 days to help people get their affairs in order. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It makes no sense that we have all these people they're just trapped in the government system. They're trapped. And whether you want it to go up or down or not, if the government says it's going down, it's going down. And these people inside Jackson and all this affordable housing, they're trapped. They've got no place to go. And Clay makes a point saying that, hey, you got to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps and you've got to make some hard decisions. And he's absolutely right. I think back to what my mother, I mean, she was a single mom and she had 3 waitressing jobs at a time. And she worked every day, not at every job, but she had these different jobs. And she made so many sacrifices to make sure that her kids turned out all right, to put us in a school district that was really good, that was small, personal attention, good school, reading and writing. And now I look at where we live when I was growing up, and I mean, it's not too much better than it was when I got there. In fact, it's a lot worse. In these school districts, they're getting their orders from the National Education Association, the NEA, the teachers union, and then also the Department of Education from the government side. And there's still school districts out there that don't bow to that pressure because they are a smaller school district, so they don't have the same problems that other school districts have. So when you're starting to bring in people who are not from that neighborhood, who are not from that community, They're bringing in an outside culture, and everybody thinks that, oh, yay, diversity. I don't want any of that nonsense. I don't want any of that kind of diversity in my schoolroom. You know what I want in my schoolroom? The American flag hanging up, maybe a military flag or two. It's always great to support the vets. Maybe Ole Miss or Mississippi State, if they got college. And I want them teaching the reading, writing, and arithmetic. None of this nonsense that's going to have absolutely no bearing on their lives whatsoever. We're teaching stuff that truly has no impact on their lives. These kids can't do basic geometry and basic algebra, but they can tell you all about the history of the forest mouse in the northern part of Mississippi. They can tell you all about different studies from around the world that have absolutely no impact or bearing on where they're going to be in life. And our school board members are asleep at the switch. I had an awesome meeting last Friday with a listener. Dude, thank you so much for taking me to Nukes, man. That was really good. We're going to definitely stay in touch. You want to talk about a guy who knows what's going on inside the system, inside Rankin County? It was mind-blowing to me. And this guy's got the receipts. And we are at a point to where if we can't even educate our kids right from an early age, what makes you think they're going to make better decisions as they grow older in life? Like I said with Clay, Charles Barkley got in front of a whole group of students. I played the clip here on the radio 2 months ago, maybe it was longer than that, where Charles Barkley asked everybody, he goes, who here wants to be a doctor? Nobody raised their hand. And then he goes, who here wants to be an NBA player? And almost all the boys raised their hand. And Charles Barkley was like, how sad is that? That kids in the city think it's easier to be an NBA player than it is to be a doctor. And then he broke out the statistics. I don't know how many teams there are. I think there's 12 or 15 people on an NBA squad, 12 active, and then like 3 practice squad, something like that. But the whole thing is that that's what that culture is teaching. Our culture used to cherish the husband and the wife, the father and the mother. We used to cherish God in our relationships. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, my friends. Not easily broken. And we don't push that in school anymore, public school anymore. We don't even push that inside our homes anymore. If you had to guess what we push, what do you think it would be? We push the iPad in front of the kid's face and say, just be quiet and go sit over there. That's dangerous. And just this weekend, just watching the news and just casually paying attention to stuff, it's amazing to watch how easily distracted, not humanity is, but how easily distracted America is. We will get distracted over the most silly stuff. Example, Peanut the squirrel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Peanut the squirrel's owners are suing New York for $10 million for wrongful termination or wrongful euthanization of a pet. And quite frankly, I'm not sure. I mean, okay. My bigger question is, why is the state more worried about a squirrel than they are about the illegal immigrants masquerading and parading through Times Square? Was that really the best allocation of resources for the state of New York? And wiping out Peanut the squirrel and his pet raccoon buddy, or his friend raccoon buddy, Fred. I always did like the name Fred. But that's what New York did, and that's where we're going. And United States of America, we've got all sorts of craziness going on that we need to talk about. We had a a charge brought against Kristen Welker, the NBC info babe at Meet the Press. She's being charged with impersonating a journalist for actually doing a semi-tough interview on J.B. Pritzker and the whole state redrawing congressional districts fiasco that's going on. And I've got some sound for that. We'll get that in the next segment. What else do we got here to talk about? Oh, I didn't know, but one of the recipients for Elon Musk's Neuralink is actually right here in Mississippi. I did not know that. So we've got something to go on that. And we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I always find it fun when I see Russ Letourneau always interacting with some of his members of the media. Mississippi Today, I believe it is saying that school choice is like a trip to Disneyland. And as someone who has found government actually being charged for Disneyland tickets for the highway commissioner's granddaughter, I take personal offense to that. And people think it's a joke, but you would be surprised what your government is paying for. But they don't ever tell you. They don't even put the bills online. Anyways, we're off and running on a Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny for quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
Antique Mall of the South has 14,000 square feet of pristine, clean floor space. Home to beautiful, timeless antique treasures. Antique Mall of the South is open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. Check them out online at antiquemallofthesouth.com or go to the Antique Mall of the South Facebook page. You can also read the dozens of 5-star reviews online. Come see for yourself at Antique Mall of the South in Ridgeland. Now open Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5. That's Antique Mall of the South, Highway 51 in Ridgeland.
Whether new construction or remodeling, Stephen Arrington and his team at Elite Custom Construction can design and build your dream kitchen and cabinets, inside and outside. Using high-quality products, Elite Custom Construction specializes in cabinetry and intricate millwork. Established in 2011, licensed and insured, Elite Custom Construction is your solution to your next project. Call Stephen at 601-927-0552 or visit them online at elitecustomconstruction.net.
Hi, it's Jackson author Jeff Pedigo, and I've written a satirical novel you should read called City Zoo, an unburied story, a witty Orwellian animal fable about the lying fake news media. What happens is a former circus elephant runs for animal zookeeper, and all the monkeys in the zoo's fairy tale news media go crazy trying to take him out. Sounds familiar. It's the perfect pop culture satire for the beach. Learn more about the novel City Zoo at cityzoo.us. cityzoo.us.
So when are you going to check that thing off your to-do list?
Right, that. I don't know. How about next week?
How about now?
Or I could do it later, right?
No more putting it off. Do it now so you don't forget. You want this and have for a while.
You're right. I want this.
You deserve this. And it can help you in the long run. There. I just logged on to homescc.edu. We're getting you registered right now.
Wait. Hold up. I thought you had to show up on site to register at Homes.
You can do either one. You know that career you talk about all the time? The life you dream about? It starts today. How does that famous quote go?
Don't. Please don't.
The secret to getting ahead is...
getting started.
Fall classes start August 18th, and we don't do Fridays at home. Register at a campus near you Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 3:30, or right now at homecc.edu. And when you come to Home CC, your tuition could be free with a 20 on your ACT.
Holmes Community College.
No place like Homes.
As Christians, it's our calling to be faithful to Christ and obedient to the Great Commission. Our heart's desire and prayer to God is that through our efforts, many would receive and rest upon Christ alone as he is offered to them in the gospel. I'm David Strain, Senior Minister at First Presbyterian Church of Jackson, inviting you and your family to join us as we strive to fulfill that mission. We're located on North State Street in Jackson. Times of our services can be found at fpcjackson.org. You can also hear the good news about Jesus Christ each Sunday morning at 9:30 on 103.9 WYAB.
Y'all come see us at Flora Animal Hospital, your trusted hometown vet. We offer a wide variety of veterinary services, including boarding. Dr. Kaylee McCary is a Madison County native who has been serving the Flora community and surrounding areas since 2013. She leads our team of highly trained and compassionate women. We are located at 740 Highway 49 in the Cotton Exchange Plaza. Call us today at 601-879-3222. At Flora Animal Hospital, we treat your pets like our own.
Yeah, we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Appreciate everybody tuning in on the radio. Look, if you're tuned in on one of the streams, I'd really appreciate it if you just gave the stream a like and give it a share out there to grow the audience. It would make my day. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Gosser, ANDREW. GASSER. Really appreciate that too. We're trying to get up to over 8,000 followers on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. And we're just continuing to press towards that goal. We're going to get there. JB Pritzker was on Meet the Press. We're just continuing to press yesterday, this past Sunday, we're going to get as Rush would say, Meet the Depressed. JB Pritzker was on Meet the He was Press. Interviewed by Kristen Welker, and yesterday, this past Sunday, had 6 cuts ready to go. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning, and I didn't save them to my thumb drive. I saved them to the computer at home. So I've just got 1 or 2 cuts that I found during the break. But I think it's really important that we discuss this. And you're like, Andy, why are you bringing up what's going on in Illinois? Because it's having a direct impact on what's happening here. And you're like, Andy, why are you a direct impact? What's going on in Illinois? California, 41% of the voters in California voted Republican. Only 7 out of their 41 seats are Republican. Of the voters in California voted Republican. 44% of all people in Illinois are Republican. They only have 3 out of 17 congressional seats. 4% of all people in Mississippi are Republican. Where are we at? 3 out of 17 congressional seats. Listen to this. This is a great question. And quite frankly, a great, even better answer by JB Pritzker.
Certainly in an off year, but I do want to look at the map of Illinois. Let's take a look at this. Despite President Trump winning 44% of the statewide vote in 2024, Republicans hold only 3 of Illinois' 17 districts.
And you notice how she sits there, she leans Republicans 17.
3 of Illinois' 17
like stressing like how big of a deal it is. And it is a big deal.
Notice how she sits there, she leans 3 of 17.
But I thought we as journalists were supposed to be
stressing
unemotional
how big of a deal it is.
And
it is a big deal.
But I thought we were just supposed to lay it out there and let the politicians answer. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Kristen Welker is actually going hard on a politician, specifically a Democrat for a change. I'm glad doesn't happen too often. But at the same time, I got to admit, it's kind of like too late
for a change. Doesn't happen too often.
If you go ahead and search, and I've tweeted this out before, maybe I'll tweet it again. But if you go look at the Illinois congressional maps,
if you go ahead,
you will be shocked. There is not a bigger example of fraudulent gerrymandering of districts than Illinois.
You will be shocked. There is not a
so it's only fitting that all of the Democrats from Texas go to Illinois and hang out. JB, talk to me, my man.
These districts seem to be designed to maximize Democratic advantage. What do you say to those who argue that it's hypocritical for you to criticize Texas for partisanship when your state also drew maps to boost your party's standing?
I did not realize Kristen Welker went that hard on the map drawing.
Your party's
and she's not wrong.
I did not realize.
If you go look at Illinois map, it's horrible
on the map drawing.
And then you look at what we have here in Mississippi, or I know a lot of us have friends and family in Louisiana and Alabama. It
And then you look at
affects
what we have
us
here in
because
Mississippi,
those people
or
are making
I know a
votes
lot of us have friends and
in
family
Congress that are
Louisiana,
affecting us here in
Alabama.
Mississippi when they should half of them
It
shouldn't have been. Well,
affects
not
us
half of them,
because
but a good
those people are
5-10%
making
of them shouldn't
votes
have ever been there in the
in
first
Congress
place.
that are affecting us here in Mississippi when they should
Well,
half of them shouldn't have
remember
been-
that
well, not
what
half of them,
Texas
but a good
is trying to do
5-10%
is,
of them shouldn't have
again,
ever been there in
violate
the
the
first
Voting
place.
Rights Act. We didn't. We held public
Well, remember
hearings,
that
legislative
what
hearings.
Texas is trying
People
to do is,
attended them.
again,
They spoke
violate
out.
the Voting Rights Act.
There was a map
We
that
didn't. We
was
held
put out.
public
There were actually
hearings,
changes
legislative
made to the
hearings.
map.
People attended them. They
Mr.
spoke
Pritzker, I was
out.
in Illinois
was
when
a
that was
map
happening.
that
And what did
was,
you do
put
with
out. There were actually
COVID
changes
to
made to
limit
the
the
map.
access to those meetings?
Mr. Pritzker, I
You
was
are
in
being
Illinois when
so
that was happening.
false
And what
and
did you do
fake,
with COVID to limit the access to those
just like
meetings?
a typical Illinois Democrat.
You are being
There was
so
no public
false
input.
and
Sure, you
fake.
said you accepted it, but there is no way
Just like a typical
on
Illinois
God's green
Democrat.
earth
There was
anybody
no
would have
public
agreed to
input.
that.
Sure, you said you accepted it, but there is no way
It's
on God's
literally
green earth
looking at those districts.
anybody would have agreed
You
to that.
you can't make it up. Some of those districts are 400 miles long. If you go around the curves and
looking at
how it
those
hooks around
districts,
certain areas and goes
can't
all
make it
around,
up. Some of
they're
those districts are
enormous.
400
It would
miles
take you
long.
a day to
If
drive
you
the
go
entire
around the
district.
curves and how it hooks around certain areas and goes all around, they're enormous. It would
And,
take
and,
you
and,
a
and
day
the truth of
to
the
drive
matter
the
is,
entire
if
district.
outside of Chicago and East St. Louis and a little bit of
And the
Springfield,
truth of the
it is
matter
very,
if
very,
outside
very
of
red.
Chicago and East St. Louis
And well, we all can
and a little bit of
agree
Springfield, it is very, very,
that
very
in that
red.
specific instance, the population, of
And
I
well,
think
we all
it's
can agree
17 million
that in that
in
specific
Illinois.
instance, the population,
Each district should not be drawn like that. But he doesn't
17
even
million
answer the question.
in
He
Illinois.
immediately starts throwing shade at Texas.
Each district
How
should not
about
be drawn
Texas
like that.
worry about Texas
But
and
he doesn't
Illinois worry
even
about Illinois?
answer the
And how about
question. He
people who are
immediately
trying to
starts throwing
stop the
shade
quorum
at
votes in state
Texas.
legislators quit
How
going to
about
Illinois,
Texas
like
worry about
Wisconsin
Texas and Illinois
Democrats
worry
did
about Illinois?
a few
And how
years
about
ago?
people who are trying to
And
stop the
a map
quorum
was
votes in
passed,
state
and it was
legislators
done
quit
at
going to
the
Illinois,
end
like
of the
Wisconsin
census,
Democrats
the
did
decennial
a few years
census.
ago.
Is that the
And
census
a
that
map
counted
was
all those
passed,
illegal
and it was
aliens
done
inside
at
Cook
the
County in
end
Chicago?
of the census, the decennial census.
Is that the
Is,
census that
is that the
counted all
same
those illegal
census?
aliens inside
Census?
Cook County in
Because
Chicago?
I'm telling you this: if we got rid of all those illegal aliens,
Is that the same
the
census?
congressional
census?
districts would
Because I'm
be
telling you
the
this,
apportionment
if we
thereof.
got rid of all those illegal
California would
aliens,
lose them, Illinois would lose
the
them, New York
congressional
would lose them,
districts would be the apportionment
and it's just
thereof.
funny to me to watch
California
how
would lose them.
these
Illinois would
Democrat
lose
governors
them.
are trying
New
to come
York
out
would lose them.
high and mighty, like they're the
And
correct
it's
ones.
just funny to me to watch
So that's how it's done in this
these
country.
Democrat governors are trying to
That's
come
how
out
it's done in
high and
Illinois,
mighty, like they're
starting
the
since
correct ones.
1972.
So that's how it's done in this
It's
country.
absolutely
That's how it's done
an
in
abomination. And
Starting
I'm
since
glad Texas is doing that.
1972.
And quite frankly,
It-
I think we
it's
should be able to
absolutely,
reapportionment seats
an abomination.
every 5 years or every
And
6
I'm
years.
glad Texas
Or
is
if
doing that.
in
And quite frankly,
this case where the
I think we
2020
should be able
census
to
was
reapportionment
obviously
seats
so flawed and
every 5
skewed
years or every 6 years. Or if
that
in
it screwed
this
everything
case
up.
where the 2020 census was obviously so flawed and skewed,
Florida lost congressional districts.
that it
Texas
screwed
lost
everything
congressional
up.
districts. This wouldn't be happening right now if
Florida
we would
lost
have had an honest
congressional
apportionment.
districts. Texas lost congressional districts. This wouldn't
But
be
we're
happening
going
right now
down a
if
path,
we would have
and
had an honest
you've heard me talk
apportionment.
about this a lot, and I will continue to stress this. We are at a point in America's
we're
history
going down
where
a
we are
path,
crossing
and
lines
you've
that
heard me talk
our
about
founding
this
fathers
a
never
lot,
would
and
have
I will
dreamed
continue to
we would
stress
have
this.
crossed.
We are at a point in America's history where we are crossing lines that our
Reapportionment
founding
in the middle
fathers
of
never would have
a
dreamed we would have crossed.
census in the middle of a decade.
Reapportionment
Suing
in the middle
the
of
president
a
in
census in the
civilian
middle of a
court
decade.
just to make him look bad for a
Suing
presidential run.
the president in civilian court
The
just to make him look
judges
bad
and how
for
powerful
a
they've become.
presidential run.
But if you notice, it's almost like the system is
judges
fighting
and
back
how
against
powerful
itself
they've
because it
become.
knows that it's screwed up.
But if you notice there, it's almost like the system is fighting back against itself because it knows
The judges in
that
all
it's
of this,
screwed
whether
up.
that be the judges in LA who are about to put Trump on trial and the or not the DOJ,
The judges in all of this,
the
whether that be
Department of the
judges in LA
Military
who
on
are
trial
about to
for
put Trump
bringing
on
in
trial
the
and
Marines and the
or not the
National
DOJ,
Guardsmen in the LA riots.
the Department of the Military on trial.
They're trying to say that was
bringing in
illegal
the Marines and the
when it's
National
all
Guardsmen in
spelled
the LA
out
riots.
in the Constitution. Well, the military can't go against the.
They're trying to
well,
say
if there's a national
illegal.
emergency
When
and
it's
you bring
all
in the
spelled
public
out
or
in
the National
Constitution,
Guard
well, military
and the
can't go
Marines,
against
yeah,
the
he
people.
actually
If
can.
there's a national
Is
emergency.
it done frequently?
and
No.
you bring in
Why?
the
Because we
public,
know what
or the National
setting
Guard
that sets.
and the Marines, yeah, he actually can.
And the Democrats
it
blow
done
by all these
frequently?
lines, and the
No. Why?
Republicans are
Because
like,
we
"Why
know
are we
what
playing by the rules?
setting that sets.
Why are we following the rules
And the
when
Democrats
they're
blow
doing
by all
everything
these
in,
lines, and the
in their
Republicans are like,
power
why are we playing
not
by the rules?
to follow them?"
Why are we following the rules when they're doing
I feel that
everything
way in
their
Mississippi, to be
power
quite honest with you.
not to follow them?
We are, and of course,
feel that
the
way in
conservatives will
Mississippi,
say
to
we're a
be
very
quite
purple
honest
state,
with you.
and I would agree with that. But we have so many elected
we
Republicans. We should just be
And of course, the
plowing the
conservatives will say we're a
road
very
in
purple state,
Jackson
and I would agree
inside
with
the
that.
state
But we have
house
so many
and the
elected
state senate.
Republicans. We should just be
Our governor, whether
plowing
you
the
like him or
road
not,
in Jackson. Inside
he
the
is
state
told the
house and
line
the
when
state
it
senate.
comes to things like Medicaid
Our
expansion,
governor, whether you like him or not,
improving education,
he's
the
general
general
line when it
economic
comes to
welfare
things
of the
like
state.
Medicaid expansion,
Mississippi
improving
is
education,
doing a lot better.
the general
And the
economic
sad part
welfare of
is
the
I
state.
can see states like Mississippi bailing out states
Mississippi
like Illinois.
is doing a lot better.
It could actually
And
happen
the sad
because
part is
Illinois
I can
can't
see
produce
states like
anything.
Mississippi
Even
bailing
their
out
farmers,
states
I
like
know a few
Illinois.
of them, not a lot of them, but
It
a few
could
of them.
actually happen because
And a few
Illinois
might
can't
seem like a
produce
lot, but
anything.
and
Even
they
their
are
farmers,
so
I know a few of them, not a
dependent
lot of them, but
on
a
the
few of them.
government for their money
And a few
to
might
run
seem
their
like a
farms
lot,
in the
but
state of Illinois.
and they are
Just
so
like some are here in Mississippi are too.
on the government for their money to run their farms in
Their
the state
whole
of Illinois.
economy
Just like
is
some
based
are
off of
here in
Chicago
Mississippi are too.
in Illinois, and Chicago is crumbling.
Their
The
whole
Miracle Mile is
economy
nothing like it used
is
to be.
based off of Chicago
The lakefront
in Illinois.
is absolutely
And Chicago is crumbling.
dreadful.
The Miracle Mile.
The trash is everywhere. They're
nothing
not
like it
picking
used to
up
be.
after the city.
The
The
lakefront
city itself is a
absolutely
shambles. The education system inside
dreadful.
of Chicago is very
The
much like
trash
the
is everywhere. They're not
education
picking up
system
after the
right
city.
here inside
The
Jackson.
city itself is a shambles. The education system inside
More
of Chicago
administrators
is very
than
much like
teachers.
the education system right here inside Jackson.
Just completely out of whack. I know I went a
More
little long this
administrators
segment. You're
than
listening to the Andrew
teachers.
Gossett Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Just completely out of whack. I know I went a little long this segment. You're listening to the Andrew Gossett Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
1039 WYAB.
You talked about how rare it is to do what he's doing. Yes, it is. What's even rarer is to do it at the behest of the president of the United States. They can save him. And
Common Cause, a nonpartisan government watch.
Donald Trump is a cheater. He cheats on his wives. He cheats. They can save him.
Mean to me, success means discipline. It's
And we've
teamwork.
all gotta
It's the
stand up
drive and
against this. This
passion
is-
inside of us, and
it's
it's why
cheating.
Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel.
I would say that this is, from at least a political point of view, quickly turning into a dud of a story. What am I talking about here?
Which is wild.
Which is wild. Which
Where
is
this has been for 3 weeks. now.
exactly. Take a look here. Google searches for Epstein down 89% versus just 3 weeks ago, falling through the floor. It is no longer the top term searched alongside Donald Trump's name. That's been trading off between tariffs and Vladimir Putin, with obviously the meeting coming up later this week. But at this particular point, the American people's interest in this story, it's quickly becoming something of a nothing burger.
So out of sight, out of mind, maybe is
Yeah.
applying here a little bit, but has it impacted? Have you seen numbers that have impacted Trump's popularity, favorability, anything?
No, not really. I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look at the overall numbers. Trump's approval rating in July of 2025, it was 45%. It's still well within that margin of error here at 44%. And you compare that to where he was in his first term at this point. He was at 37%. So he's 7 points higher, very much in a different political universe now, significantly higher in terms of his overall approval rating than he was at this point in his first term. And more than that, among Republicans, his approval rating is near a record high, hovering right at about that 90% mark. So no, he hasn't lost any of that base. And when it comes to that center of the electorate, he's basically holding on there. And his overall approval rating, 44%, is pretty gosh darn good for him considering where he was at this point in term number one.
What do you think is behind it? Why there hasn't been more movement?
Yeah, why hasn't there been more movement? I think this is pretty simple. Take a look here. Nation's top issue is the Epstein case. This is the number of respondents. This isn't the percentage of respondents. This is the number of respondents. And our last CNN poll, look at this. 0 respondents said that the Epstein case was the top issue. How about among independents? 0 independents said that. And among Republicans, and therefore overall, just a single one. So yes, there used to be a lot of interest in this story, but the bottom line is that even amongst those who had high interest in this story, it wasn't something that they thought was all that important. And as I said at the beginning, the interest in this story has fallen off the table.
Which also, when you look at this and you compare it to just the attention that Capitol Hill was giving it, Donald Trump supporters were giving it, congressional...
A point of view quickly turning into a dud of a story. What am I talking about here?
And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show, 103.9 WYAB, streaming on Rumble, streaming on X, streaming on YouTube, streaming on that social media platform that begins with a F, but I don't like saying the name, and at WYAB.com. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in. There's a little bit more to this JB Pritzker interview I want to play. I think it's important that we have a really good knowledge base here in Mississippi, because you know that the local Democrat Party here, you know, they don't have solutions. They only have sound bites, and they can't really provide any path forward. So they're going to try to use this as an attack. But the more that we have at that ammunition, the more that we're equipped, the better off we're going to be. So let's get it going.
And we've all got to stand up against this. It's cheating. Donald Trump is a cheater. He cheats on his wives. He cheats at golf. And now he's trying to cheat the American people out of their votes.
Did anybody see that drive that he hit in Scotland, by the way? He crushed it. Like, even the press corps out there was like, holy smokes. And it's really rich coming from a Democrat governor we're talking about maps. He's just trying to he's got like the most severe case of TDS out there. This guy's running one of the bigger states in America.
Well, look, sticking on your state's map, every major group
and this is where Kristen Welker really sticks it to him. And so that's why we're listening to it.
Grades the fairness of congressional maps, gives your state an F. Common Cause, a nonpartisan government watchdog, even says your map, and I'm going to quote, represents a nearly perfect model for everything that can go wrong with redistricting. And I guess the question is, you talk about preserving democracy. How do you preserve democracy if you're using the same tactics that you've criticized Texas Republicans for?
And she's right. And I don't even need to listen to the rest of what JB Pritzker has to say, because he's going to deflect, deny, and otherwise obfuscate the answer to make it all about Trump. But these Democrats, I mean, this is why I don't understand certain people. They see the Democrats are completely screwing over their own people, and yet they continue to vote for them. We can have I mean, I believe Illinois hasn't had a Republican governor since the early 2000s, maybe the late 1990s. Jim Edgar, I think, is the last one. And I think about, when is the last time Jackson's had a Republican mayor? When is the last time Chicago's had a Republican mayor? And we could reverse it too. When's the last time Mississippi has had a Democrat governor? Or when is the last time Texas has had a Democrat governor? I mean, there are examples that you can use both sides, right? And that's why this show is wildly popular with some of the people inside Jackson. And you tell me and you let me know, and I'm so grateful for you. We got to have that intellectual honesty, and we just don't have it right now. But the truth of the matter is that Illinois is the absolute worst state, and Republicans all around the United States have looked at what's happened inside these Democrat states and said, we need to do the same thing. Is it right? Well, there's no law saying it's not right. But if we're just going on how does it feel, it kind of makes me queasy. Would I do it? Probably not. It's absolutely a shame of where the Democrats are putting this or dragging this country down to, because ultimately it's going to just get down to the messiest level, and whoever wants to get messier is going to win.
But as I say, what they're talking about is a distraction. The reality is that the violation of people's voting rights is what Texas is attempting to do. That's what's wrong.
What violation? There is no law that says you can't redistrict in the middle of a census. The real violation is anybody who looks at the congressional map in the state of Illinois. That's the violation. And that's what kind of drove me crazy in 2023 when we were electing the next lieutenant governor. And just what would you have someone completely district out conservatives? Because quite frankly, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Oh my goodness. Say a prayer. I'm sorry, but Delbert Hosemann did more help for the Democrats just like JB did in Illinois. Getting rid of Senator Sojourner, completely redistricting her out of her district. I have to say this, I'm not even sure Mississippi's map for congressional districts is as bad as anything Illinois is. I do find it weird that it goes from the top of the state to the bottom of the state, but you could condense them a little more, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Could you draw it to where we could draw the map in Mississippi to where you could have 2 Democrat congressional seats? You could draw it up like that. But you could draw it the other way too. Let's finish up with good old JB here, and then we'll put a bow on this and call this map gate done.
Wrong with their efforts right now, and the fact that the president of the United States knows it and nevertheless is asking them to do it. That is what's wrong with what we're seeing right now. Democracy is at stake, and these Texas Democrats are standing up to what the GOP is attempting to do, which is to steal seats, because they know what they've done is wrong. They know that they've made an enormous mistake.
Isn't that amazing? Everybody knows what happened in California is wrong. Everybody knows what happened in Illinois is wrong. And now we have a president who's like, okay, you want to play that game? We'll play it. And they twist the knife in a way, or they twisted the kaleidoscope in a way that the Democrats didn't figure out. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, shoot. Because I'm telling you this, Texas is getting it done, but Florida's going to get it done too. And there's other states that are talking about it. And I was watching PBS of all places. You know, they're saying that these Democrat states, they can't really cut up the states or the congressional districts any more than they already have. California and Illinois are really cut up. Now they're saying in New York they might be able to slice 1 or 2 off. States like Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, they're all Democrat already because of how they draw the maps. There's really nothing you can do. What is interesting are places like New Jersey and Pennsylvania that are having wild, wild swings to the right. We should be having wild, wild swings to the right here in Mississippi. And I think we will. I genuinely believe that there's a conservative move afoot with everything that's happened in Jackson. I mean, it's the poster child for Democratic leadership in the late 20th and early 21st century. Just down, down, down. How sad is it that we get excited when they're going to turn on the water for 5 days? That's like me being deployed to Afghanistan or Africa again, where there is no running water. Oh, we're going to get a well for 5 days? We're going to have well water? Whoop, load up. It's ridiculous. This is going to continue to march on. They're going to continue to drag or throw punches at Trump. They're going to try to hit him any way they can because everything that they're throwing at him right now just isn't working. Whether it was the past lawsuits, whether it's DC, whether it's LA, whether it's the map redistricting, it's just not sticking. I don't know if this is because Trump was just on air for so long as the what was that show? The Apprentice. And people just got to know President Trump and they just like him. Or if there's something else strange that's afoot. I don't know. But you're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. It's amazing how quickly this first hour goes. I don't know what happens. It's just like 1 minute it's here and the next minute and a snap later, it's gone. I got a couple smaller stories that I want to break into here before we get to the top of the hour break. The first one is Trump is winning again. NVIDIA and AMD to pay Trump administration 15% of chip revenue for export licenses to China. So whatever NVIDIA and AMD sell to China, whatever 15% of that is going back to us when it comes to AI. How awesome is that? That's what having a president who knows what the heck he's doing when it comes to business is talking about. We continue to get these great deals. And what the gist of this story is that people can't believe that NVIDIA and AMD actually agreed to it. I guess it's the art of the deal, huh? I'm excited because I'm really looking forward to the revenue data coming into the U.S. Treasury for August, which means we won't get it for another month. But they're going to sit there and try to put out all this negative news on the economy. But when those tariff benefits come in, those tariff receipts come in, my goodness. We actually, and I'm not expecting it to happen because Congress likes to spend money and not pay down debt, but we could actually pay down debt this year. We could actually start paying down the $38 trillion debt. I think that's awesome. Now to something that is a little bit more humbling. This is from Loosedale, Mississippi. You know, imagine 1 minute you're driving down the road on your motorcycle, having a great time, and then you wake up and you're told that you're never going to walk again, that you're paralyzed from the neck down, and you're never going to do anything. Man, that is like one of the things that scares me. That's why I don't ride motorcycles. I've lost too many good friends on a motorcycle. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't ride a motorcycle, but as it comes to me, I ain't getting on one. I don't even want to be on one on my farm. I'll ride the side-by-side, and I'll go slow. And the sweet bee will let me know that I'm driving too slow. But that's all right. If you were paralyzed from the neck down, would you agree to put a chip in your head to try to get some of your life back? RJ Tanner lives on a quiet farm in George County, Mississippi, far from the major hospitals or technology hubs, but he's one of the first people in the world to receive a Neuralink brain-computer interface. Oh, there goes Elon again. And I know my believer folk are going to be like, that's the mark of the beast. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just telling you, it's here. Listen to what RJ says. I went from not being able to do anything to moving the cursor on the computer within minutes. It absolutely gave me my sense of independence and freedom back. That's soul crushing to me. I mean, we can get in our cars right now. We can drive down the road. You can go to the Kroger. You can go to the Aldi. You can go to the mall, the outlet mall. You've got all sorts of opportunities to go do stuff. You can go use the restroom, okay? This guy doesn't have none of that. And he's getting stoked over being able to move a cursor on a computer screen. I think technology is a beautiful and wonderful thing. But as beautiful and wonderful as it is, it can turn into a nightmare really quickly. And if we don't have the right moral set and value set when we're going ahead and implementing these things, we're going to end up having our country turn into an abysmal wasteland. And we're going to have to start making decisions here pretty closely because this AI is speeding up. I personally didn't talk about that too much today, but I'm just letting you know that the computer technology is out there where they're going to continue to develop it and develop it and develop it. And we're in for a heck of a ride because we're going to see it all. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic...
Yes, you are. You are locked into the Andrew Gosser Show here at WYAB 103.9. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming on that social media platform that begins with a F, but we don't like saying the name. And also at WYAB.com. You can always lock in to us there. If you want to be part of the show today, number 601-879-0002. The text line is 601-879-5060. It is Monday, August 11th. Thank God it's Monday. Excited to be back in the seat. Thank you to Clay Edwards earlier having me on for the third hour of his show on Monday. It's always good to sit there and banter. Clay's a top-notch guy. Also got to say a quick shout out to my man, Curtis Shaw. Congratulations on 100K, bro. Onward to 200. So with that, I planted it. Apollos watered it, but it's God that gave the increase. And we have got to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and what the people think about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, to give some context to this, the Trump administration has said release the files, and their files aren't getting released. So the Democrats are complaining about Trump not releasing the files when their own Democratic judges, like the one in New York, is saying you can't release the files. You see how that works? Everybody keeps bouncing in and out of each other. But it was really interesting this past week because a lot of my friends who are conservatives, I have liberal ones too, but almost none of them talked about Epstein. And really none of the Democrats talked about Epstein either. Could it be that the microwave generation is starting to kick into effect? People are saying, the American voter is clearly saying that they're moving on to other things. Things like the economy is trending higher. They want to know what's going on there. Also, this map redistricting thing is going higher than the Epstein files. Do I believe that should happen? No. But I clearly see that I am in the minority on this. And I can't sit there and just say, oh, I'm going to talk about things that are important to me and not recognize that sometimes, hey, the stuff that I find interesting might not be important. Here it is. Judge denies DOJ bid to unseal Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records. U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer said anyone who is following the Jeffrey Epstein case would learn the next to nothing new by reading the grand jury materials. So we're supposed to trust the king in black, the queen in black. And this is where it gets even more interesting. In his 31-page ruling, U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer, a Barack Obama appointee, says that the grand jury materials do not identify anyone other than Epstein or Maxwell as having any kind of contact with a minor. I edited that a little bit. And I'm just wondering how it is in everybody else's circle. Does Epstein still fire everybody up like it did last week or the week before? Or is human nature really starting to play its course in all of this? I honestly think we're getting burned out on the Epstein file. Do I want to see him getting taken care of and released? Yep. I'd love to find out every slimy slimer out there and throw him behind bars. Or if you can prove the death penalty, give him the death penalty. I'm not against it. But the truth of the matter is that our society truly doesn't really care about it anymore. Now, maybe if something breaks, it'll spark the interest in it all. But that's why I do have to say there are two people on CNN that I actually enjoy listening to. One, Scott Jennings, because how he just takes down the liberal left on the Abby Phillips show. And this Harry Enton guy, he's got something about him. I don't know if it's his outlandish, over-the-top delivery, but his data has been some of the best reporting, or some of the data he's reported has been some of the best reporting. Doesn't matter what the issue is. And why CNN is continuing to allow him, maybe he's building up all the trust with the conservatives so he can drop the hammer. I don't know. But this is pretty fascinating.
story. What am I talking about here?
Which is wild.
Which is wild. Which
where
is
this has been for 3 weeks.
exactly. Take a look here. Google searches for Epstein down 89% versus just 3 weeks ago, falling through the floor. It is no longer the top term searched alongside Donald Trump's name. That's been trading off between Taros and Vladimir Putin, with obviously the meeting coming up later this week. But at this particular point, the American people's interest in this story, it's quickly becoming something of a nothing burger.
So out of
And that is a shame. We had kids who lost their innocence, who lost their childhood. Many just disappeared after they went on their trip. And we're never going to find out about it. And we, the people, really just don't seem to care about it.
out of sight, out of mind, maybe is
Yeah.
applying here a little bit, but has it impacted? Have you seen numbers that have impacted Trump's popularity, favorability, anything?
No, not really. I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look at the overall numbers. Trump's approval rating in July of 2025, it was 45%. It's still well within that margin of error here at 44%. And you compare that to where he was in his first term at this point, he was at 37%. So he's 7 points higher, very much in a different political universe now, significantly higher in terms of his overall approval rating than he was at this point in his first term. And more than that, among Republicans, his approval rating is near a record high, hovering right at about that 90% mark. So no, he hasn't lost any of that base. And when it comes to that center of the electorate, he's basically holding on there. And his overall approval rating, 44%, is pretty gosh darn good for him, considering where he was at this point in term number one.
And that's what I thought was the key point of this whole segment. Is people are saying, oh, Trump's not doing a good job. People don't like Trump. They're abandoning him. They don't like what he's doing on immigration. They don't like what he's doing with the tariffs. But we really do. There are so many of us who are grateful and thankful for everything that he's doing. And it doesn't get, of course, on the front page news or, on the mainstream media, unless it's a little small segment like this. They'll go back to bashing him and talking about how he's trying to redraw lines or whatever. But this president is actually turning America around one day at a time, one executive order at a time. I'll tell you what, he's put some people into place who are decision makers, who aren't afraid to make bold decisions, to take risk. And honestly, that's what good leaders do, right? We have our troops out there. We've got our employees out there, and we're saying, take risk. We will back you up on it. I'll tell you what, it was frightening sometimes having to trust some of my employees to go do stuff. We didn't actually see eye to eye on everything, but that's how it works in life sometimes. But every time they took a risk, even if they failed at that risk, I always backed them up. And the same thing is happening here. Let's finish this one out.
What do you think is behind it? Why there hasn't been more movement?
Yeah, why hasn't there been more movement? I think this is pretty simple. Take a look here. Nation's top issue is the Epstein case. This is the number of respondents. This isn't the percentage of respondents. This is the number of respondents. In our last CNN poll, look at this. 0 respondents said that the Epstein case was the top issue. How about among independents? 0 independents said that. And among Republicans, and therefore overall, just a single one. So yes, there used to be a lot of interest in this story, but the bottom line is that even amongst those who had high interest in this story, it wasn't something that they thought was all that important. And as I said at the beginning, the interest in this story has fallen off the table.
And of course, he's waving his arms around saying it's off the table. I mean, he's definitely animated kind of guy. So if we think about this, we don't think the Epstein story, maybe you and I do, but our society in general has completely lost interest in the Epstein story, down 89%. Not to say that something came up, it wouldn't go again. But where do we focus next? Are we in this type of society where we're just moving from day to day, trying to keep our head above water, making sure we're getting to work on time, paying the bills, making sure our kids have somewhere to go to sleep at night, food on the table, clothes to wear? It doesn't seem like we're actually paying attention to our culture. We're not paying attention to what's actually happening in our society. We're more worried about ourselves, and we've really lost our ability to grasp at some of these big stories. I mean, in the next segment, we're going to talk about it. President Trump is taking over D.C. He's invoking special rule just made for D.C. So, I know that there are a lot of my Democrat friends out there who are like, Andy, you can't do this, but we're going to talk about it. You can. But it almost seems like Trump has figured out how to master the ebb and flow of the consciousness and the attention span of the American voter. He'll ride it to the top, jump off, it falls down. He just jumps to the next thing and starts riding up again. It's a shame that we, the citizens, can't realize that too. And am I complaining about President Trump? Absolutely not. He's doing a fantastic job as far as figuring out that pattern as a politician. But I'm kind of disappointed in us. I wish I had a bigger platform to go out there and say, hey, this is something that we need to focus on more. I guess I wish our political leaders would do that too, but it's not what's going to happen. And the truth of the matter is, Ghislaine Maxwell is in a minimum security prison in Texas where she can walk around and do whatever she wants to do. Very minimum security. She's going to be able to hang out there until she cuts this plea deal. She's going to cut a plea deal. It's not going to be anything what people had hoped for. And it's just going to make us turn down and not pay attention to the government even more than we already don't. And is that just the beginning of the end for America? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, we are definitely slowing down. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes. I just wanted to comment on some on the subject that you're talking about, but take it a little bit deeper. This is Willie. I wanted to say this, that I was watching the news this morning, something I rarely do, but I saw that they were talking about 30,000 Christians were killed, and that now this happened in 1982, but now they're starting the same thing where they're rounding up Christians in Iran and killing them and doing anything. And I'm saying that the reason that we're not concerned. I heard a minister on TV yesterday. I kind of listened to a number of these televangelists, and he said that Israel was committing genocide, and I just couldn't understand that. I said, well, maybe he knows something I don't know, but I kind of related that back to what's going on. I said, well, I believe wholeheartedly that God put Mr. Trump in office for a reason. He put him there for a reason. And I think the reason was that to get this country back together and help get this world maybe back on track, because these people, I know you're military, ex-military as I am, and I think it's a good idea. I listen to people complain about this country, and I'm wondering, go to Israel, go to Iran, or go to Iraq, and go to Russia, and complain about the government, and see how far you get. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Willie, you go over to Iran and say you're not even a Christian. Say you're American, you're going to get mowed down, and Christian, you're going to get a double tap. And America doesn't realize how barbaric and animalistic some of these regimes over in the Middle East actually are.
That's it. And I see that they're going against ICE, and ICE is trying to do the job of getting these people, making America safe again.
Yep.
Why not support them? One thing, I'm gonna say something, and then I'm gonna hang up and leave it alone.
Okay.
But I just want to tell you that I could imagine, it appeared to me that our Congress people, male, women and men, when we send to D.C., it seems like it means that they go in the office after they take the oath of office, they go and say, okay, the red over here and put on this uniform, and the blue over here and put on that uniform. Now y'all at war against each other.
Yep.
Instead of thinking about what's best for this country. That's all it takes. We send them there because they lied to us and tell us, I got the country's concern in my heart. I'm really concerned about this country. But so they get there. Mm-hmm. Then they're concerned about the party. You know, that's all I told you I was going to have to say. You take care, and I want to wish you and your coworkers, listeners and all a very, 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 very blessed year, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Willie.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Mr. Willie. We're calling that segment the Wisdom with Willie segment right there. He's right. You know, our politicians, they just want to get there to go to fight to perpetuate the system. I know I went a little long right there. When we get back, we're going to make it up. You're listening to Andrew Gossett Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
.9 WYAB.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
Have you noticed all these people acting like the sky is falling? All this tariff talk has folks real nervous, but at iGear Optical, we've got you covered. Our prices remain solid on all our quality products, while all other shops are raising prices. We are not. Come get a great pair of eyeglasses, computer glasses, or sunglasses that fit you, your lifestyle, and your budget every day at iGear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 East in Pearl, and on the web at iGearOptical.com.
Whether new construction or remodeling, Stephen Arrington and his team at Elite Custom Construction can design and build your dream kitchen and cabinets, inside and outside. Using high-quality products, Elite Custom Construction specializes in cabinetry and intricate millwork. Established in 2011, licensed and insured, Elite Custom Construction is your solution to your next project. Call Stephen at 601-927-0552 or visit them online at elitecustomconstruction.net.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
Doctor, the AC doctor, what's your diagnosis? My whole house was hot as a fever. Now my house is frozen, 'cause my air conditioning's on. Doctor, my AC's broken. Doctor, the AC doctor, heal my house, bless my soul.
The AC Doctors is your one-stop provider for air conditioning and heating installation, service, and repair. Contact us for money-saving repairs and lower energy bills.
Doctor, the AC doctor, heal my house, bless my soul.
Google the AC Doctors and get some relief today. TheACDR.com.
Craving something extraordinary in Jackson? Manship Restaurant is where your taste buds hit the jackpot. Join us for happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. where your wallet will thank you and your stomach will sing. Indulge in half-price wood-fired pizzas because why pay full price for half the fun? And for just $5, dive into our private barrel bourbon picks. That's right, luxury on a budget. Plus, beat the heat with our frozen drink specials, a tropical escape without the travel expenses. Make your way to the Manship where happy hour isn't just a time, it's an experience.
This month, UrgeVet Emergency Vets of Madison is celebrating 5 incredible years of serving your pets, and we couldn't have done it without you.
From late night emergencies to weekend worries, we've been here caring for your pets when your regular vet isn't available.
Join us in celebrating 5 years of compassion, expertise, and tail wags.
Drop by for giveaways, treats, and more, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun. Located at 15 Olympic Way in Madison, you can call us at 601-790-1918.
UrgeVet, always here when your pet needs us most.
And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show, 103.9 WYAB. And this segment is brought to you by who?
And we are back.
My man Bruce at iGear Optical over in Pearl. Located at 2630 Highway 80 in Pearl.
My
You need a
man
set of
Bruce at
glasses.
iGear Optical over in Pearl.
I know everybody's
Located at
waiting to get their insurance to
2630
get paid for
Highway
the next
80 in Pearl.
prescription, but when you need a good
you need
set
a
of
set of
glasses,
glasses.
go see my man Bruce.
I know everybody's waiting to get their
Take the
insurance
time,
to get paid for the
make
next
sure you get the pair
prescription.
of
But
glasses
when
that
you need
you want,
a good
the look
set of
that you want,
glasses, go
the-
see my
the
man Bruce.
prescription that's going to be making sure that it's
takes
right
the time,
and it's going to
make
look
sure you
good
get
on
the
you.
pair of glasses
And
that
he
you
takes
want,
the time
look
with
that
you.
you want.
I've watched him do his gig
prescription
over
that's
there.
going to be
I like it.
make sure that it's right.
I can't
and it's going to
recommend
look good on you.
his services
And he takes the
enough.
time with you.
Bruce,
I've
thank
watched
you
him
for
do
supporting the
his
show,
gig
man. I
over
really
there.
appreciate
I like
you.
it. I can't recommend
So
his services
during the
enough.
break,
Bruce, thank you for
I've got
supporting
this
the
buddy
show,
of
man.
mine
I
who
really
I served in
appreciate
the
you.
Navy with, big lib guy,
So
way on the left.
during
He
the break,
says that the press
I've
conference
got
from
this buddy of mine
Donald
who I
Trump
served in
this
the
morning
Navy
on the
with,
DC
big
takeover
lib guy,
is
way
showing
on the
his
left.
mental decline.
He says that the press conference
And so I
from
sent him a
Donald Trump
message back
this morning on the DC take.
saying, "Hey, man, you're talking about mental decline of a president. You know what we just went through the last 4 years with Biden? Are you sure?" And he goes, "No, man, listen to it." So for your listening enjoyment, let's listen to what President Trump had to say about the DC activation of the National Guard and taking over the DC police force.
On the southern border, I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get...
And that was President Trump. Did he sound like he was out of sorts there? Because I listened to it, and I did not get that. But my buddy, he's saying that Trump's fallen off. And he was joined on stage by Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Judge Janine, Pete Hegseth was up there too. So they had the whole cabinet up there basically talking about taking over the police force inside Washington, D.C. And what's really important, I know there's going to be a segment of population out there who says that this isn't supposed to happen. The police can't do, or the government can't do that. In DC, they actually can, because if you go back to your 7th or 8th grade civics class, if you're lucky enough to have it, you know that Washington, D.C. is not a state. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the country. And property and land was given up by Virginia and Maryland to create that. And it's got a weird law that allows the president to do that in these types of situations. Now, I can't remember the last time it's been done. I'm not sure if it's ever been done before. But I do know that this president doesn't want the Capitol looking like garbage. And I've got a lot of friends who work there. They're there today. And they're like, Andy, it's nothing like it was when you were here. And that kind of makes me sad in a way, because I was really proud to be working in our nation's capital, doing spacely things. There was a big sense of pride, especially after fighting for the country for so long. You take pride in your country, you take pride in your state. And perhaps we shouldn't, but maybe pride's not the right word, or the word pride has been corrupted by a takeover. Sadly, you talk about pride anymore and people think the LGBTQ plus agenda, but it's actually, you can have pride in your job. You can have pride in your school, pride in the work you do. But the left is completely against this. They're also trying to tie this into the LA riots, where President Trump completely quashed that. You notice how quickly that went away after the National Guard and Marines went in there, and then they said they're going to start searching for the people who were giving all the money, and it just got real quiet real quick. It's like they don't want us to know what was actually happening in LA. They don't want to give President Trump any credit for that. It's just what's the next thing that we can try to smear him with. And I'm frankly tired of it. It's one of those things where we've got to be able to go higher and do more. Which is why I'm kind of excited to be living in Mississippi. The growth potential that we have here with our small businesses outside of Hinds County, of course. Unfortunately, if you're inside Hinds County, you ain't going to be getting those deals. You're not going to be able to do the things you want to do. But that's all right. We're setting the right pace. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We will be right back. Mm-hmm. And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. And, you got to thank Mississippi today for talking about working conditions for immigrant workers. And the problem is there shouldn't be immigrant workers. It should be Americans working or immigrants. But when they say immigrant workers, they're really not talking about immigrant workers. They're talking about illegal immigrant workers. And the Mississippi Today has this big giant sob story about ICE. And I'm telling you what, if I wanted to get out of the hood, if I wanted to really change my life, be something, make something of myself, realizing that the people that I'm hanging around are not doing me any good favors, realizing that I'm being caught in a doom scroll situation, going round and round, I'd go see if I qualify for ICE. $50,000 sign-on bonus if you qualify? Up to $60,000 in repaying student loans? Man, that is a way out. Much like the military was for me. It was a way for me to get out of Illinois, which was awesome. We're just begging for people to help to try to take back our country. And, if you've got law enforcement experience, you got military experience, that's going to just help you out even more. It's going to take a decade or more to get back our country with all these illegal immigrants who came in there. And look, I'm not saying that they're bad people. Look, we talked about the guy who's getting deported for the Trump burger. I mean, that's kind of sad that somebody's actually producing. But the truth of the matter is he's here illegally. Some people say, well, can we make a deal for him? Well, I'm not in that kind of position. But once you start making deals, you kind of lose the effectiveness of it. And it just seems a lot of restaurants have been like that. There was a restaurant in Illinois. Now this guy, I think the Trump burger was in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But these illegal immigrants are not only taking away jobs from Americans and legal immigrants, but they're also lowering the price of labor, which I know all my friends at 150 will appreciate. I didn't have a voice. Mississippi poultry worker industry's use and alleged abuse of immigrant workers. The first thing most people think is, if I speak up, ICE is going to come for me, Gabby said. The last thing you want to do is create a problem. What you'd want to do is work. I wish I could say that about all Americans. All they want to do is work. But it seems to me like all we want to do is figure out how to become the next great influencer on said social media platform. Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, X. How do I get that next big dopamine hit? How do I go viral and become an influencer? It's like we've lost our entrepreneurial spirit to coming and building companies and just wanting to go ahead and create videos. And hats off to Clay. He does a great job at it. I don't have the drive to go make those kinds of videos that he makes. He does very good with it. And we need more people like Clay like that. But we also need people who are going to be blue collar workers. And I know I've got my blue collar crew out there. A couple of you are very faithful texters, and I appreciate that. They're out there on the site listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. Can't say enough how much I appreciate y'all. Why can't we have people who want to be electricians and carpenters and welders? Man, especially underwater welding. You go into the Navy or the Coast Guard to be an underwater welder. You stick around there for 7 years. You walk out of there, you're looking at $150,000 a year starting. It's dangerous as heck, but underwater welding, that is money. HVAC is another big one. I forget about HVAC all the time. And there are those people out there who want to eliminate air conditioning for the civilized world. So we should allow them to go ahead and remove their air conditioning, but we want to keep ours, right? Like my buddy Scotty last week, I came home and my house was 80 degrees. Man, am I glad I had brother Scotty on speed dial to hook me up. I'm grateful for him. You lose your air conditioning, you're going to want to be cooled down real quick. So why can't we go ahead and do those types of jobs? But we don't. Or starting off working in the chicken plant. Mississippi Today goes into the sob story, how this woman came into the United States 7 months pregnant. That's a problem too. And people don't like the word, but I'm going to say it anyway. Anchor baby, there's no such thing. If you go to China and you're pregnant and you have a baby in China, is that baby going to have Chinese citizenship? No. If you go to England and you have your child in England while you're on vacation, is that going to be an English citizen? No. Only one place in the world gives this designation. Why? Why is it that everybody wants to illegally immigrate to the United States of America and not to these other places? Because we're the best. Andrew, that's arrogant saying that you're the best. Well, we are. We worked hard to win World War II. We worked hard to develop the United States, the Eisenhower Express system. We can drive anywhere in America through our expressway system. We've built a country based on Judeo-Christian values that is better than anywhere else in the world. We've got the best military. We've got the best agriculture land. We've got the best business economic situation. But it just seems like we waste that all away focusing on stuff that's not important. And then the stuff that's really important, we don't focus on as much. You know, these chicken plants, and I'm not like bashing this chicken plants or anything like that. They've got to make a dollar too. But if they're not going to have immigration enforcement, why wouldn't you use the cheaper labor? I always thought it was a great idea to bring people in very low, unskilled, untrained labor, get them trained up, invest in them, and then get them up to a wage that was commensurate to what the work they were doing. But apparently it's not like that anymore. This whole article in Mississippi Today talks about all of the horrible conditions at the chicken processing plants. She apparently kept working at the chicken plant until she was 8.5 months pregnant. My goodness. That is a long time to be on your feet working like that. And ladies, I hear your stories. I know you do it all the time. You are machines. God made you incredibly well. You're tough. You're strong. There's no way a man's going to be doing that. Six years after the Immigration and Custom Enforcement raids on 7 Mississippi poultry plants brought a national attention to the industry that had profited from undocumented labor for decades, more than a dozen current or former immigrant undocumented employees, as well as those who work with pork or those who work with work permits or green cards, complain. Most interviews were conducted in Spanish, with some workers' first names changed to the and didn't use their last names because they were feared of retaliation and deportation. So the Mississippi Today has just confirmed and verified to ICE that we have illegal immigrants working at processing plants right here in Mississippi today. Sounds to me like ICE got a job to do. It then Mississippi Today then claims it mostly targets Latino workers in the 2019 raids. You know, I barely remember those raids. But it seems to me that when we go ahead and raid these businesses that are hiring illegal aliens, why aren't the employers being punished as well? I mean, you want to fix the problem, right? So if you keep on doing the same thing, we're just getting rid of the immigrants, we're bringing a new batch, no worries. I mean, there should be some type of penalty for these people who are doing that. And it does say that 3 plant managers and human resource staff were sentenced to up to 2 years probation for knowingly harboring illegal aliens. Years later, loopholes persist. Several workers told Mississippi Today it is still possible to find employment in the chicken plants without work authorization, often using fake papers or a contractor. I'm actually really glad Mississippi Today did such an expose on this. I hope our public leaders, elected officials, and ICE are listening. And then, of course, it says this practice isn't unique to Mississippi. Illegal immigration is everywhere. We know that. Would you want your kid going to work at a chicken plant for their first job? I know for my first job, I got at 8 years old. I'm not kidding. I made salads and bussed tables in a restaurant. Incredible work ethic. That's one thing we were talking about off the air, Clay and I. The work ethic right now of our younger kids is not where it needs to be. Mississippi's struggling. Would you accept your kid going to work at a chicken plant for 10 hours a day for their first job? Maybe while they're trying to get their grades up to go to school, maybe they needed to save money to go to school. I think about some of the jobs I had growing up. I was a warehouse worker, shipping and packaging, shoveling snow. That was crazy. We had our own lawn business, worked in a restaurant. And this was all before I turned 17 and went to the Navy. I enlisted when I was 16, was delayed entry program for a year. But the point to this is that we've made work, especially hard work, gritty work, dirty work, so repulsive and like it's not meaningful to society. Yet we're not going to eat without chicken. Well, you all ain't going to eat without chicken. We got plenty of chicken at the BA farm. We got a lot of cluckers. When a rooster gets out of line, I just go out there and put them in the sweet pea soup pot. And that's the end of that. Sometimes we eat it at church. It's a good deal. But it's almost like we're devaluing work. I think it would be great if we had all of our American work kids and our legal immigrants working at these types of jobs and not being saturated with illegal aliens. And until we find some way to actually hold the businesses accountable to, I'm not anti-business, but I am following the rules. Until we find some way to actually get them to be held accountable to, we're just going to continue to go down this road, and it's going to go on and on and on. President Trump's serious about this. ICE is recruiting. $50,000 check, sign-on bonus, fellas, ladies. Man, what would that do to somebody living in Jackson if they got a $50,000 sign-on bonus and they're going to get out of Jackson? And that doesn't include their salary. Some of those salaries are up there, $110,000, $112,000 a year. Dangerous work. But that could put you on a course where once you got done working for ICE, go be a state trooper, a police officer, and be part of the change, because everybody's so upset about the state troopers or the police department being corrupt. Well, you go in there and you fix it. You be part of the change. That Mississippi Today article was all over the place. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Last segment of the day. And we are back. It's the final segment of the show today. So grateful and thankful you all could tune in. It's just a blessing to be able to come in here and talk about the current issues that are affecting America and Mississippi. And we're all able to talk about it together and congregate in a place. It's pretty cool. There's a couple other points I want to make to this story. Before obtaining a work permit in 2021 and finding employment at a Tyson plant, Gabby worked for 2 other poultry processing companies under a fake name. She paid a U.S. citizen $1,700 to use the person's social security number and name at work. Think about that. There's a whole system in place right now in Mississippi to crank all of this out. And now Gabby creates keepsakes for children in Spanish-speaking Catholic church where she volunteers. And this was last Wednesday. They have actually a picture of her. Why would someone who's here illegally want to do that? It's almost like Mississippi Today is just looking for a story to try to pump out there to cause hate and discontent. It's really kind of shameful. It's also shameful to those chicken companies. They know what's going on here. Hopefully they're doing something about it. Life is pretty good here in Mississippi. We've got it all right. Compared to some of these other people, think about it. They risk their lives and everything to come over here to work. And we're complaining about other things. We do need to get the legal immigration under control, and we do need to take back our country. But at the same time, we need to fix ourselves too. Our work ethic isn't right. We as a culture, we're declining. We're not holding the same things in value that our grandparents did back in the day. It's almost like we've decided we're going to go down a different path. If we do, we know what happens. Meshat, Shagrat, and the Billy Goat, as my friend just told me about it, because I could never remember Abednego. It's Meshach, Shadrach, and the Abednego. I got it now, but it's not because it's Abednego, it's because it's the Billy Goat. Dude, that's awesome. I'm grateful and thankful for that kind of stuff. We're growing and learning every day, everybody. Until next time, I hope you all take care. Have a good time. Stay safe, and we'll see you again in about 46 hours. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.